Friends first, artists second.
Boom.
Our voices.
Shut up,
out.
ouch. Okay, great. So we're rolling.
Rolling.
Chapel Co in the studio.
Chapel Co in the studio.
Jean and Vi. Just, catching up. Welcome, guys. It's been a minute. We've been wanting to do this for ages. And as you can see, this happens every time.
Every time.
We just have a lapse in confidence and judgment.
We do.
And we either say something inappropriate or we laugh too much, or it's just so boring that we can't bear to post it.
Yeah, this is actually like the 20th one we've done.
Yeah. Minus the lies, it's the second one.
It's the second one.
We've actually only tried it once. Anyway.
We'll see if we
we wanted to just obviously create a space where we could chat and talk, and hopefully in the future interview some guests and just delve into different topics. But right, Violet?
That's right.
Yeah,
I think people want to know what we is.
Yeah, what we are, who we are,
what we doing,
what we ising, what we is and what we isn't.
Yeah, that's good.
That's it. Yeah, so I guess we should probably start at the beginning and just talk about Chapel Co and talk about who we are and
that's good.
what we're about. So it's quite simple. We have this space that we create in, and we're just a collective of artists, people who love the Lord, who love each other, and we want to make some wonderful content and music and art and have fun together.
It is fun. We actually started in the studio.
Yes.
It was like the four of us.
Yes. Maddie Lopez.
Dudu Vieira.
Me and Violet. And we sang. We just started singing. And I think we were praying. And I started singing. What was it? I never want to leave your presence. Yeah.
We had this whole concept about being present to the presence. I remember that.
Yeah.
That hit me.
Yeah.
For a long time.
It still hits me.
Yeah.
It's still touching me to the core.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like still the message, isn't it? Like we wanted to almost like create windows and doorways into that space so that other people can join us.
Yeah.
If they're listening or watching or whatever it is, that space of being present in the presence. Mm-hmm. Present in the present.
Present to your presence.
Presence.
All about the presence.
All about it. Yeah, but in that space, like opening that up, and that's like crazy journey from there. In the meantime, some people left. New people have joined. And, so kind of like building around that, the values of friendship, artistry, what was it? Renaissance. You came from the Saint conference and you were like...
I've never been to the Saint conference.
You were like, guys, we need to Renaissance.
Yeah.
We need to shift culture.
But I think I've heard about that a while ago. And like, I feel that's something that we carry is the tension of artistry, but also being in that space of worship. And I think even being in England, a lot of us are missionaries.
Yeah. From other places.
You're from South Africa. I'm from the US.
We're in the nations.
Brothers from Brazil.
Yes.
And so I think we're walking to these beautiful cathedrals. And I think we've seen like decades of Reformation happening and stuff. And then there's against Reformation and then Renaissance or Renaissance Reformation or something.
Yeah, they all kind of...
Or they're intermingled.
Yeah.
But like art does
it's like shifting culture through art.
Yeah. And so I think that's something we're passionate about, shifting in culture.
Well, yeah, we want to see that.
Whether
it's, even if it's just like our grannies or like our aunties or someone watching it and they feel inspired to do something beautiful. That's a win.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's broader than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been good. I feel like that's something that Jonathan Morris would say. He would go, "Yeah, that's been good."
Yeah,
and I would you just feel all warm and fuzzy inside, But yeah, so I think like it's funny how we can like how quickly time goes by.
Mm.
And I've just been like thinking about how now it's almost been like 2.5 or 3 years or something. I don't even
Yeah,
know.
it's almost been, I
Time
feel like
is
3.
just crazy. It's a construct. But but you know, I've been like thinking about how we we don't always recognize like how much things shift
Yeah.
around us, and we've been we've had two bigger projects that we've launched or released, and we're kind of like planning, dreaming about more. But if we just look at like the people that's around us and the projects that we have been involved with, just how special and how impactful they've been, and just before you know it, you're doing it, you know. And like we had this dream, we had these like plans and hopes, and before we know it, we're in these spaces with these people in these crazy places where God's just moving, and art is being created, songs are being written, videos are being made.
Yeah.
And that's been cool.
It has been cool. But I feel like didn't come out of nowhere.
No.
And that all took all of us to say yes. But I think as people even just look at what we're doing, they're like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How did you start? Where did it come from? And I think all of us as individuals, I think if you look at any collective, we're all still ourselves.
Yeah.
And we all have our own stories.
Yeah.
And I think we're all bringing a history of us being present to
Yeah.
God and
Yeah.
Him forming us so that we can form something even bigger and more
Yeah.
beautiful, which is something we were both, all of us, passionate about, of like, how do we see artists come together and like see something beautiful happen?
Yeah.
And
And we're almost like an answer to prayer. Like you're an answer to prayer in my life. And I feel like vice versa. Like I feel like it's been so supernatural.
Yeah.
The way that it all just happened. Because I remember the first time I met you and Dudu, and Dudu was, you guys had just done your Coastline EP, which was so good. But then Dudu was like, yeah, we want to do live recordings. And I was like, let's just write some new live songs.
Yeah.
And we wrote them in like 6 weeks. We had 4 songs, recorded them.
Yeah.
And that's just kept happening. Like we just have songs and we record them.
Yeah.
And
It's so true. I feel like you're always someone who's like, guys, you have no idea. Like, this is special.
yes.
And I feel like you're someone who's like been good at like casting vision and kind of like bringing us and grounding us to be like, this is not normal.
Yeah, exactly.
Where like for me, I'd be like, yeah, just taking it day by day. Like we show up, we like kind of live around one another and life's just happening. But I think vision and actually like you've put language to moments.
Maybe it comes back to like being present in the present.
Yeah.
That like right now is significant, and we'll look back one day, even at this moment. We'll look back and be like, oh, do you remember that time we did that? Or I might be talking to a friend and talk about, oh yeah, we used to shoot podcasts in the studio that we also produced music in.
Yeah.
And you know, these moments are fleeting, like, and sometimes we forget to just be as present as we can be and get the most out of it.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, that's so true. I think I think that's my favorite access point as well to the presence of God. Like just becoming conscious of like right now, I exist, you exist, like we exist, like we're in this space, and God is here.
Yeah.
Like that will get me. That'll get me every time, man.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's something you've had to cultivate in your life?
Definitely, yeah. I think like being around the right people, but also, yeah, I guess like definitely, yeah. I don't know exactly how, but it just happened somehow. But I had some really good friends, which is crazy. And we did a lot of crazy stuff together, just pursuing God's presence and speaking in tongues a lot, praying like crazy, and just seeking God's presence. But I think that's also something that's on my life, like to be that sort of voice that or just a person in the room that says, let's go, let's go for it. Let's not be normal for a moment, but be the
new normal.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So deep. Wow. The new normal. I think that should be the Chapel Co podcast name.
Yeah, the new
Chapel Co,
normal.
the new normal. That's gonna be our podcast name, I reckon.
I don't know.
But yeah, then we've also, yeah, I don't know. I think like, what's been your experience? Like, what's been your favorite part of being a part of Chapel Co, Violet?
Favorite part.
Yeah, what's the part of it that you've just enjoyed the most?
I mean, it'll always be the people. That's because I'm oriented that way.
Yeah.
I feel like I never wanted to do something that there wasn't a vision that I wanted to be a part of, or people and community that I loved. And it wasn't us just showing up just to create something and then peace.
Yeah.
But it was genuinely out of relationship and friendship and us like choosing to show up in one another's lives.
Yeah.
And just being real and raw and authentic. I think that is something I love about Chapel Co and the like growth of things. But the freedom to just create. And I needed that in my life. I feel like all of us are, I think in this season specifically, like we're all in ministry and ministry can be quite intense. But having a space for us just to be creative and to be friends and to create art has been so life-giving. And I think as artists and creatives, we need spaces where we can just like be a bit wild and be a bit childlike, where it's like a blank canvas and be like, okay, what can happen?
New
Even
normal.
today, just like we're like, okay, we have a Monday, it's a blank canvas, like what are we gonna do today?
The new normal.
And so then it's like, what are we gonna create? And so I think that's been my favorite thing, and you need to do that with your friends and people.
And that's
you
our
love.
one of our main values, isn't it? Friendship.
Yeah.
Collaboration from a basis or foundation of friendship.
Yeah. Friends first, artists second.
Boom.
Our voices.
Shut up, Osh. And yeah, like you find yourself in this season like it's quite easy to lose the balance of that art brings. And I think that's something that I'm discovering, and maybe we're discovering it together, that like life is balance, you know, and like, because things aren't always easy. Like there's always some suffering going on somewhere, some struggles going on somewhere. But yeah, like finding the balance and like finding the beauty. And yeah, I was actually talking to a friend of mine yesterday, a good friend, and that came up, and I had like a deep revelation on that personally. Just like it's not really profound, I guess, but for me it was in the moment, about just again finding God in the struggle, finding Jesus in the suffering. And like when life's not easy, it's so easy to just go full victim mentality and just be like, why God, why me, you know, like it shouldn't be like this, you know, whatever you want to do. But going from there, I actually like, it just occurred to me that that's where I can meet Jesus. Like to go through that stuff, to go through the hard things with him, to encounter him and find deeper parts of him, and just get that revelation, get that sustaining grace, you know, which has been quite encouraging, to be honest.
It's special.
That's why even this morning when you saw me, you were like, oh, how's it going? Or maybe you were saying your classic line, oh, sad boy vibes. You're feeling sad boy vibes again. And I was like, no, actually not. So, you know, but maybe I look sad boy vibes, but I actually felt quite hopeful, you know.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is special when you get to find that awareness.
Yeah.
Not find it, awareness finds you, I guess.
Yeah.
But the beauty and the suffering, which I think is not always talked about.
Yeah.
And I think when we talk about balance, I think I like to talk about or place balance into tension, and art is like there's a lot of tension in art, and in life there's lots of tensions, but that's the sort of stuff that builds us and builds our character.
Yeah.
And ultimately then, like, that's where art comes into expressing
Yeah.
those things that we endure
And go through.
and go through. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess like that's the balance, right? Like that's the counter. It's like we need the art on a personal level just to feel therapeutically released and just feel like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's personal, I guess, but most people would probably agree that like when you write a song or when you're in that moment and a new idea is birthed, like there's something so therapeutic about it. It just feels like a relief almost. I love that feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, we need that. We need that in our lives. It brings balance to the hecticness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I was going to ask you about was you always going to conferences, aren't you?
I'm a conference girl.
You just get your fix. What do they say, Nick? What is it? Conference junkie?
Conference hopping. Yeah, I'm a little
Yeah,
junkie. I just can't get enough. No.
Conference hopping.
I'm tired. Those tire me out, man.
Yeah, bro.
This is what in conferences I realize that I am such an introvert. Only in conferences. But
yeah, well, when I travel with you guys and your teams with these events, I realize I've lost my extrovert stamina. Yeah, my youth is gone, chaps.
Yeah, I feel it.
I want to be in bed at 10.
Yeah, I mean, you do have a child, so
I do.
It's a difference.
Yeah. That's true.
Changes things.
Wonderful child. But no, you were at a conference and someone was asking about like bedroom. Bringing living room worship vibes into the corporate setting and like what was the question? Was it like how do you manage to bridge that for people so that they can have that sort of intimate encounter in worship? Yeah. In a corporate space.
Yeah, the conference is like it was a movement. It's a movement that's been existing for like years, and it was kind of like calling back to, they're just asking a question, how do you create spaces of encounter in times of worship? Like as worship leaders, like how do you create a place of encounter? And one of the guys was talking about like we need to bring in living room style worship. Like how do we bring that back? And it's hard to do when you have a pretty big church. You have like 2 services that you're running.
Yeah, with like lots of lights,
cameras. You got live streams happening. Like, and then they're saying like, how do you bring living room style worship? But it was quite encouraging because the guy who's like, I was in a discussion group and he's like, well, like you guys started this like collective, like, how do you guys do that? Like, I see you just did it. And then I was like, oh, like, well, thank you, Juan.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, I think for all of us, I know for me, I was a teenager and I would go to living room worship nights and be leading those spaces. And we had like 2 to 3 hours of just like uninterrupted worship. And we would show up not knowing what's going to happen. Yeah. And that sort of stuff just formed me. And so then like I'd show up to different places, different conferences, and like, if I know when there's permission given, like from leadership or people who are emceeing, to know like how far can we push the boundaries and see like where it is. And I think God loves that, where it's like, again, the like blank canvas moments where it's like, what could happen? And you get a little bit nervous. And you're like, ooh, can we do a spontaneous chorus here? I don't know. I'm going to sing one line.
Or you just go for it with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
And hope that they let it,
and hopefully the band will,
when
like,
you
catch
see
on.
them coming up and you just ignore them for like
But yeah, I mean, like that's what we did. I was like, I did that for years. Like just put on worship nights or like went to worship nights. And that sort of stuff then bled into like the bigger platform stuff or whatever.
And I think that's a good place for people to start as well in their journey.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we've said that before, but like encouraging young people if they want to grow in the area of worship facilitation, and because it's quite a skill set to develop. I always look at it as a skill set and not so much as like, it's gifts. You're good at singing, you're good, but at the end of the day, facilitating a room of people, like it's often a facilitation choice. Like you choose to do a certain thing, and it can be spirit led, but often it's actually just a skill set in knowing like, okay, this is what the Lord wants to do. What's the most effective way of doing that?
Yeah.
And often it is a new spontaneous song, or maybe it's a directional word, or a moment of silence, or a prayer, or whatever. But yeah, I can't remember what I was gonna say before that, but
Yeah,
got
no,
lost
it's
in
good.
my own brain.
Yeah, but it's just if people are like wondering like
Oh yes.
how did we even get here? Like even as Chapel Co, like I don't know,
Yeah.
people would look at us and to think like I want to do that too.
Yeah.
Or like young people, I feel like everyone wants
That's what I was
to
gonna say. Yeah.
be a worship leader
A
and
good
stuff
place
like
to
that.
start, yeah.
If you want to grow, if you want to learn, create those safe places instead of just like going from 1 to 70, 80% and you're trying to like lead I don't know 100 people.
And I think something we have in common is that I don't really care too much where I lead worship. Like I love leading worship for like bigger groups of people because it's super fun.
Yeah.
But like I actually like I couldn't care less, you know? Like I actually love being in spaces where it's just me and a guitar. And like it's so much more like vulnerable. And like
it is,
you know, like you of course you can make more mistakes in a way, but at the same time it just feels like there's just no other agenda except to encounter God, and like there's just no other reason to be there except to worship. And like I miss that when I don't have it often.
Yeah.
And I think it's but I always like I was saying, I always tell people like try and get into those spaces. And I remember I was in South Africa like leading worship so many hours a week. It was crazy. Like, and it will just be like random. Sometimes there will be like no one. There will be like 2 people. Other times there will be more people. But like when you sing the same song for like an hour because you only know those chords, or like, you know what I mean? Like, or you just sing like the same song a bunch, like, and then you get pushed to this point where you have to sing a new song because you just can't sing the same song again. And the only thing that stirs things up and feels right is to sing the new song, like, and just release a new song. And you know, like that doesn't happen overnight. Like it takes a long time of just allowing yourself to take the risk in those spaces.
Yeah, which again we will never outgrow. I feel like people will always say it, but like the secret place.
Yeah.
You will never outgrow the secret place.
No, thou shalt not.
Yeah. Honestly. And it's real. Like, I crave it more and more. Like, the more and more events or things that we're doing, I'm like, I think we realize that. We're like, oh, we need that just raw, organic space.
Yeah.
Where it is just me and Jesus, or our moments as Chapel Co when we're even just together and we're like, let's just
worship
the Lord.
And then like you know, the whole friendship thing, and like doing it with friends and people that you're just like, there's like a cool vibe to it. It's really fun. But I think something that we also carry is like creating that space, not just in worship, but just as friends, like for other people. And like one thing with this podcast that I would love to do is to like have guests and like ask them their journey, like having some friends of ours, because we've got some really amazing friends who have walked the road, who have seen they've seen the things, and they've like got so much to share. But it's so easy to kind of like feel like there's distance between us and worship leaders or artists, creatives, that we can't have, you know, we can't get to know each other.
Speaking of friends. Adam!
Hello?
Hey, brother.
How's it going?
It's good. I think I'm outside if you're at Violet's.
No, we're actually at the studio if you want to come.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's good.
Okay, so
I'll come over.
Okay, cool.
Bye.
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 Well, I think on that note, shall we call it?
Yeah, until we have new friends.
Yeah, we have
more friends to come.
On the next one, because we've got our brother behind the camera. I think in the next one, he will have to feature. We can ask him some deep questions about spirituality and sonship.
We love it.
That's good.
How to be a son.
I consider you guys more like co-workers.
I hope you guys can hear that.
Yeah. Well, if we're co-workers, we're like almost friends.
Almost.
We're like the kind of co-workers that you would say yes to for a beer after work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I would say yeah.
Cool. I hope so, because it's happened.
Yeah, multiple
Couple times at least. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
See you guys next time.
Ciao.